Welcome to the Deaf Kid Show. Let's go.
Hey, yo! Hey. Here he comes. Y'all ready? I don't think y'all ready. Jeff Key coming at you, the over-circumcised Jew. Travel the world telling jokes, eating eggs with no fucking yolks. Low-cal, so-cal, he pulls out the knife and he strips your gal. This is his podcast, maybe this one will last. Probably not the one that he's got. He's only half minor success. That's why he brought in D to the M to the X. He's finally about to blow. Welcome to the Jeff Key Show.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's
Jeffrey. What's up, everybody? All right, I am back and gonna throw down a quick little pod. Got a lot of things to do today. So hard to get the pods out, but before I start, really quick, let's throw it over to my buddy Dirty J Leno.
So, Amazon owner Jeff Bezos and his wife are getting a divorce. Have you heard this? Amazon owner Jeff Bezos and his wife are getting a divorce. The papers are being sent with free 2-day shipping. His soon-to-be ex-wife will be seeking half his assets, which is $23 bajillion zillion. The Oscars are going without a host this year after forcing Kevin Hart out. Just when they thought they were safe from controversy, a 2009 tweet from the little gold Oscar statue surfaced where he said, "Is there anything more disgusting than the lifestyles of the silver statues?"
All right, thanks, Dirty J Leno. Trying to write more monologue jokes takes time. Everything in the news, though, is about the president, and it's just enough, right? It's too much. It's all the time. It's every single day, every single story. I go on news sites, and I'm like, oh, I just want to go to, like, the tech section, like, get some jokes about that, maybe, and it's, like, Trump. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go to the sports section. It's, like, Trump. So it's, little just I'm trying to keep it, fun, talk about everybody hears about that all day every day. So let's see, Happy New Year. And I got a last minute gig last week. Was it last week or it came back this week? I can't remember. Anyways, so I had to fly to Cozumel, Mexico and jump on a cruise ship, tell some jokes for a couple days. It was a lot of fun. I'd never been on this ship before. So nice. Very nice. Like, some of these ships are extremely cool to be on. It's pretty interesting. It's one of those things. I know a lot of people out there cruise. I was never a cruiser. So, yeah, if you have some cash, you want to take a vacation, I mean, they're pretty fun. I'm not getting paid to say that. So, something that's pretty funny that comes up a lot, I do a joke in my act sometimes about how I can't talk to women after shows because I get weird because I've been doing stand-up so long and whatever. And so that's like when I used to flirt or whatever with women or meet women. So now I'm married, so I get weird or whatever. So I'm not going to do the joke. But anyways, I do a joke about it sometimes in my act. And whenever I do that bit, it's always early in my set. It just happens to just fit early on with some of the stuff I talk about. So what's so funny is that joke, if I do it every single time, literally every single time, if I talk to the audience afterwards, at least one woman will make the joke like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you because blah, blah, blah. And I'm not in the mode anymore of being on stage. And also that bit is not like my closing bit or anything. So I never even know what they're talking about. It always takes me a couple seconds, and then so I do end up just being weird after shows when they say that, because I'm always like, what? Oh, okay, all right. So I was when you're working on a ship, you don't know who you performed for, you know what I mean? When you're walking through the ship to get back to back to your room, or when you're getting the next night, you're going back to the comedy club to perform. So I was walking the second night, I'm walking back and I'm just in my zone, like just trying to get to the comedy club. I'm not thinking about, my show the night before, or my shows the night before. I had to do 4 shows the first day I was there off no sleep. But this lady was like, "Hey," she's like, you were amazing last night." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I thought I was kind of late, so I was just like, "Oh, I actually got to go, do some more shows right now." And then she's like, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna talk to you," or whatever. She said something, and it was about that bit. And I had no clue. I was like, "What's going on?" And then I didn't want to, you're working, when you're on the ship, you're working, you're an employee. So you have to be nice to everybody on the cruise, obviously. Well, I'm not going to be mean to anyone anyways, but you have to kind of like go out of your way. So I didn't want to like brush her off, right? I didn't want to be like, "All right, bye, lady." So I walked over to her because I was talking to her. I was kind of like walking away. Walk over and go, "Oh, what's going on?" And then she's just talking to me about, she's trying to make a joke about that bit. And I am so far removed from that bit because I don't even know which show I did it on the 4 shows I did the night before. I'm trying to figure out which show she was at because I did a couple PG shows where people could bring their kids, and then I did a couple R-rated shows, and I guess it was on R-rated shows. But I'm just like, "Oh, like what show are you at?" And she's talking to me, and like she has this look on her face. Like I didn't realize what she was talking about until I walked away, and then another lady came up to me after one of the shows I did that night, and she was like, "I saw you talking to that lady," and she's like, "It was so funny because you had no idea what she was talking about. She was talking about that joke you do, and you didn't realize it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have no clue." Like, I don't even know right after the set, but it's just so funny that there are certain jokes that always kind of spark a conversation or something with people. Like, there's certain bits that people will reference. If I do them, they'll reference after the show. And there's a lot that they laugh at and they just never reference but that one, I guess, just plays itself right into them making a joke about after the show. But it was a lot of fun. What's kind of pretty cool is kind of everywhere I go now, I usually bump into at least one person who's in the audience who listens to my other podcast I do with my buddy Ian, the E&G podcast. So you could check that out and everything. It's E&G podcast. So what's funny though is mostly we started that podcast talking about the show The Bachelor. So most of our listeners are women. We do have men who listen. They write us all the time, but most of them are women. And then when there are guys who have been at shows where I've been in different cities or whatever, they, sorry, I keep sniffling. They're usually, it's a guy like with his girlfriend or with his wife. Like, "Oh, we listen to your, podcast, whatever." This guy, this like burly Texan, big guy, just like manly man's man type guy. He's walking by after one of the shows and he's like, "Hey man, great job." I was like, "Oh, thanks, sir." But he was like, still walking. He wasn't somebody who was stopping to talk like other people were. And he goes, "I love your podcast." And obviously I just started this podcast. I don't even know how many listeners I have. I haven't really checked, but I just started it. Haven't really promoted it. I'm trying to get some content going and hopefully you guys spread the word. So I just thought, like, because I have to, I'm pretty sure he was talking about the E&G one, but it was like he didn't look like somebody that I picture listening to that podcast. So I was like, which one? And then he goes, "The one you do with your buddy Ian?" And I'm like, "Oh, right on. Yeah, of course. Thanks, man. Thanks for listening." And I was like, what the fuck? That guy listens to our podcast where we mostly talk about The Bachelor. I mean, we talk about other stuff too. We talk about different movies and documentaries and, social stuff and whatever. But it was just kind of took me by surprise. So I never know who's listening. If you listen to this podcast, by the way, thank you. And if you haven't yet, please go rate it 5 stars in iTunes. That helps a lot. And if you want to email me, my email's in the show notes, thejeffkeithshow@gmail.com. I finally got, after years, I don't know if it's been 2 years, but it's been at least over a year, I've had an iPhone 6 that was just bricking out. Apple was totally trying to get me to get a new phone. It was so obvious. I called Apple support a long time ago. We're troubleshooting. Like, my GPS wouldn't work. It would say my phone is full, even if I deleted like basically everything off. I could delete every video, every picture off my phone, delete them from the deleted folder, all that stuff. and then take 2 pictures and it's like, your phone's full. Sorry, your phone's full. I'm like, how's my phone full? How does that make sense? So my GPS wouldn't work, so I'd get lost a lot because I'm terrible with directions already, and I have to drive all over the place all the time in Southern California for auditions and shows and everything. So anyways, I finally got a new phone, and I got an iPhone XR, and they don't have the thumbprint thing to open your phone on this one. It's facial recognition, and it freaks me out every time. It's scan. I had to do this scan of my face where I swirl my face so it gets every part of my face. And the guy was like, yeah, he goes, that's how you open it. You just look at your phone. I just look at my phone and it opens. I'm not used to it at all. If anybody else has a XR, tell me if that freaks you out. This technology is so weird now, right? Like, I don't think we realize it, but all the jokes people used to make, like, oh, Bill Gates' house, I bet he's just got robots doing stuff and he just talks to the thermostat and says, like, oh, put it at 80 degrees or whatever, and all stuff. We have all this shit. Now I want to know what's at these people's houses. You know what I mean? Like, what are they really doing? Because we have all the stuff we would talk about. Like, oh yeah, I bet so-and-so has like a self-driving car. And it's like, now we're on the verge of it, like people just having self-driving cars. And Elon Musk built a tunnel system that he's starting in Los Angeles for Teslas to just go underground. And I don't know. It is, my point is I'm just not used to it. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is I've been traveling a lot for years now. I've been touring for a long time. What is it about people on airplanes? They're the rudest motherfuckers alive. Like, people, first off, the idea that what other situation will you be sitting in a seat and some guy is just rubbing his dick on your face or on your shoulder while he puts his bag in the overhead thing and doesn't even mention, like, oh, excuse me. It's just like, I'm just going to rub my cock all over your shoulder. Deal with it. We're on a plane. It's like, yeah, we're on a plane. It doesn't mean you get to rub your penis on me. People will cut in line to get on a plane when you can clearly see that not the tarmac. What's the tunnel? Like the tunnel of the plane? The gangway? Is that the gangway? I don't know, but I think it's the gangway. Anyways, when you can see it's still like backed up, people will still, as you're boarding, like try and cut to be like one in front of you. It's like, we have assigned seats. Unless you're on Southwest, I don't get that. And Southwest, don't even get me started on Southwest. Southwest, if you guys don't know, I'm sure you know, they have boarding groups. You have a number, like you're A31, right? And then they tell you how to line up, and people try and cut in that line. It's like, yo, dude, I'm B15, you're B21. Why are you standing in front of me? Like, you're clearly in the wrong spot. So this guy, I was in the aisle seat, and our plane lands, and he didn't know what I was trying to do. He probably thought I was sleeping, but our plane lands, and I was just trying to get a quick little meditation in, right? I had my headphones in, so I had my eyes closed, trying to get a little one in, right? And there's a lady in the middle seat, and then there's this guy, younger guy, he's an adult, but he's this younger guy on the in the window seat, right? As soon as the plane touches down, this guy reaches over and aggressively like taps my arm to wake me up. It's like, motherfucker, first of all, I wasn't sleeping, but we just touched down. Have you ever been on a plane before? It's not like you hit the ground, the doors open, everybody runs out. You have to drive to the gate. You have to park at the gate. Then it goes ding, and then you can unbuckle your seatbelt, and then people can stand up. So this guy, what is that? Like, why does he feel like, I get it. If I'm sleeping and everyone's getting off the plane, yeah, dude, hey, wake me up. I get it. The wheels just hit the ground, and he's like, yo, man, we're here. No, we're actually not yet. We're still on the fucking plane, dipshit. So this guy wakes me up, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Then this guy's rude, weird shit doesn't end there. You know what he does next? As soon as we're in probably what's probably like row like 25 or something, right? We weren't up near the front, so we're in like the middle of the plane. So people had like maybe just started. I don't even know if people started to get off yet. I don't think they did. So people, actually, I know they didn't. So as soon as we stop and people are, just starting, now you can get out of your seat. It's that moment on the flight, on the once you land. This guy says to me and the lady, hey, can you guys, can you let me out? And we were right next to the bathroom that's on the middle of the plane. So I was like, okay, this guy probably has to go to the bathroom, of course. Like, he just wants to go to the bathroom. We just landed. So we get out, and we're like shoved into the aisle. We're just standing with a bunch of people who are just like crammed in there. And there was no reason for me to stand up yet, except this guy wanted to get out. And in my head, he needed to use the bathroom. Of course I'm going to let him out. Then he just takes the whole row to like kind of like get some space, put his sweater on, tie his little jean jacket around his waist, just kind of stretch. And me and this fucking lady are just standing in the aisle like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Can I get out? And then you don't get out? And we're just crammed up next to people? What a piece of shit. I hate that guy, if you can't tell. So I just don't get it. I don't get why people, when they travel, are such assholes. Like, people are really, it's very weird. You ever see a lady struggling to get her bag in the overhead compartment and no one helps? I always help. I'm like, do you want me to help you with her bag? I'm not saying the only one that does. I'm not like the best person in the world. There's other people that do it. But a lot of times you're just watching some lady struggle, some little old lady, and people are just like, fucking, she better hurry up. I'm trying to get to my seat. Help her with her fucking bag. All right. There's some other things about traveling that I think I forgot, but I jotted this note down a while ago. Really cool thing. Don't have much to say about it, but pretty cool. Ronnie Coleman, the best bodybuilder ever. He won 8 Mr. Olympias. He was on my cruise ship, and he was at my shows. He was at a couple of my shows. And I thought when I was boarding, I had to board the ship in Cozumel, and I would not have known it was him. I followed some of that bodybuilding stuff back in the day. My dad used to be into it and stuff, like Flex Wheeler and Ronnie Coleman, all these guys. And was there a guy? Sean Ray? Sean Ray was another one. I know all these guys. So, well, I know 3. So as I was walking, I saw this guy, and I thought it was Ronnie Coleman because he was on one of those like motorized scooter things that like people, if they have trouble walking. And the only reason I knew it was him was because there's this Netflix documentary that I think just came out about him, and I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it because, to be honest, it's kind of sad because this guy was obviously had one of the best physiques, if not the best physique ever, and then now he has all these issues, like he has trouble walking, and they show him, he has to use those what are those things where like you put your arms in? They don't look like crutches go under your armpits, but these things you kind of like put your arms in, whatever. I guess those are crutches too. You kind of use those. So I was like, is that fucking, in my head as I'm boarding the ship, like walking to board the ship, I'm like, is that Ronnie Coleman? Because he was going the other way. And then randomly after one of my shows, this guy comes up to me. I said nothing about this during my set. And this guy comes up to me. He's like, hey man, Ronnie Coleman's on this ship. And I don't know why that guy thought that I would care or know who that is, but I did care and I did know who that is. And I'm like, is he? I thought I saw him when I was boarding the ship. So then in my head, of course, I'm like, that'd be cool if Ronnie Coleman came to one of my shows and then he liked me, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter, but it'd be nice. And then at one of my shows, I'm on stage, and thank God it was one of the adult shows because those shows are just more fun. There's not kids in the audience, and the crowd is just way more into it. I'm looking over, and he's like on an aisle seat, obviously, because he's in that scooter thing. And in my head, the show's going really well, and I'm like, that's fucking Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman is at my show, and he is cracking up. Like, he's laughing more than other people, I love this. This makes me feel good. So toward the end of my set, I said, hey guys, I gotta get out of here. And this comedy club was packed, by the way. The ship was really nice. And the comedy clubs on the other ships I've done seat probably, I think 400 maybe, or 420 or something like that. These seat 220. So it was kind of cool because when it's packed, it's like, it just felt more like a comedy club. The other rooms are like, not saying they didn't feel like a comedy club, it's just like a more spread out, bigger. People are at booths or booths? Booths doesn't sound right. Anyways, so it's just like my point is, like, when people are just sitting in chairs and they're more close together, that's better for comedy because laughter is contagious and whatever. It's just more fun. It's more fun for them. It's more fun for the comics. So, what was my point? Oh yeah. So, it's packed. It was completely packed, like standing room only. So there's at least 220 people in there. I had this great set. And then so, at the end of my set, I said, hey guys, I gotta get out of here. But before I do, this has been like bugging me the whole time. I didn't say but. I don't know. I said, and then I pretended I didn't know. And I go, "Are you Ronnie Coleman?" And then he was like, like nodding his head, but he was like kind of still laughing at something I said. And then I'm like, guys, and like a lot of people were like, oh, but like a lot of people don't know, I guess, who Mr. Olympia people are, like bodybuilders. So I was like, guys, you know who this guy is? This is like the best bodybuilder in the history of the world. And then everybody starts clapping, and I let them clap for like a second. And then I go, guys, before, like, hold your applause for a second. Isn't that crazy? Like, what are the chances that the best bodybuilder in the world and the best comedian in the world are in the same room at the same time? And obviously I'm just making a joke. Everybody laughed. And then after the show, Ronnie Coleman came up to me and he was like, hey man, and like shook my hand. He's like, oh, I was like laughing too hard to answer you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, God, fucking you and me, Ronnie, let's go lift weights. I was hoping to bump into him in the gym. And then I saw him at the last show I did on the ship. He was also there, which, by the way, so funny. So the comedy club manager, you're supposed to do different sets on these cruise ships, right? You're supposed to have, I'm new, so I have to have at least 3 totally different sets, 30-minute sets, which is okay. And so on this ship, it was like a different structure of how many shows. You actually did extra shows. In 2 days, I did 7 sets, supposedly for 7 different audiences. But what happens is people come back, right? So I had to do, my first 2 sets were PG. So PG, I don't do like a kids show. I don't have a kids show, but I do, my material that you'd probably see me do at a comedy club. And it's just stuff is clean. Like it's stuff, I'm not talking about sex. I'm not cursing, so I could do it and kids can be there. And, kids, some of the jokes, kids obviously like more than others because I'm doing like goofy accents or something, but the parents usually like it, the adults. And so I had to do 2 back-to-back PG sets, and it was supposed to be the same set. And then the first night, and then the second 2 sets I did the first night. My 3rd and 4th set were my adult show, and then that was supposed to be the same adult show. And then the next night, I thought I was doing my second adult show twice, right? So the one I haven't done on the ship yet. And then the 3rd show was like this show I do with the other comic who's on the ship. And we do in like the big, huge theater, and it's like the big send-off show type of thing. We only had to do 20 minutes. So I was like, all right, whatever. I look at the list and I'm like, why are my adult shows so early? 6:15 and 7:15, and I look and they said PG, and I'm like, am I doing PG shows again? So then I hit up the comic club manager. I'm like, hey Ben, I go, am I doing more PG shows tonight? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, but don't worry, this ship is so big and the comedy club is so small, you don't have to worry about repeating. He's like, so you can do the same PG show you did yesterday. I'm like, yeah, because I only have 1 PG show really that I do. I mean, I have other stuff I can do to clean it up, but I don't know if I have like a whole 30 that I worked out, And he's like, yeah, no. He goes, it's fine. He's like, it's fine. They, you can. The ship is so big, so it's going to be a new audience. So was it a new audience, guys? Yeah, some people, but then there were people who were at the other shows and their kids wanted to come back and they wanted to come back and they were like, oh, that was fun, that guy was funny, and he was like safe for our kids, so let's go see him again. So I mean, I told the guy, I'm like, look dude, I'll switch it up, like I'll take some stuff from like material, I'll take some material I haven't done, I'll like mix it up, but I go, a lot of the stuff will probably be the same, probably be like 60-40s, like 40 new, maybe 50-50. The point is, guys, it is weird if you're going to do the same stuff in front of people have seen it, even if it's only 15% of the audience has seen it, it's still just like a weird feeling because you just feel like, ugh, they've seen it. It's like, I don't know. I guess it's the same as if, I did, which I haven't obviously, but if I did like an hour special on HBO and it was a big hit and then people came out to see me at a club and I'm doing the same exact set, people would be like, oh no, we like this. That's why we came to see you. We want to hear what else you had to say. So that's the thing about comedy. It's not like music. You can't just be like, oh, here are the hits. And everyone's like, fuck yeah, the hits. I came for the hits. People are, it's the joke. Even if you still like the joke, which I have had people on another ship, like sometimes the kids, the PG shows, especially, people will come back to hear it again. And this one kid was so cute because I was joking around that he was at like the other show already. He'd already seen the show the night before. And he goes, but I liked the jokes the second time just as much. Such a cute little kid. So, but of course, you're not going to laugh, though. Even if you still like the joke, you're enjoying it, but you're not laughing. So it's just like, it just kind of feels weird. So anyways, So then it wasn't too bad, whatever, and I mixed it up. So this is my point. So for my next 2 PG shows before that big send-off show, I mixed up my material. I did like a bunch of other material that I hadn't done on the ship. So then people saw some of that, right? Then for the big finale show, the guy was like, don't worry, just do 20. You can do whatever. You can repeat. You can do whatever you want because, they haven't, the ship's so big. It's going to all new people, whatever. I knew that wasn't the case because people kept coming back to see me at other shows. So I knew they were like, we're going to some of those people will probably come again. So as I'm walking into the big, huge theater and I go backstage, there was a lady on stage, doing some bingo or something before the comedy show. And I heard her as I walked backstage up these stairs. She was like, who is that or whatever, blah, blah. Is that like a crew member or something? And I heard like a bunch of people from the audience yell, he's a comedian. So it's like they fucking know who I am. They've been at my show. So like right away, I'm like, okay, great. So maybe it's just a couple people, but I feel like it's more. So me and the other comic are on the ship and then or backstage. I mean, obviously we're on the ship. And they were like, who wants to go first? Who wants to go second? And we were like, neither one of us care. And the other guy was like, I'll go first. I'm like, all right, cool. So he's out there and he's doing great. This guy's been doing ships for like 16 years. Nice guy. And it sounds like he's doing great. Audience loves him. So I go out there and I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm thinking I'll mix it up if I have to, but it sounds like I could just kind of do whatever. Supposedly this is a whole new audience for the most part. I do my first joke that usually does really well, gets almost nothing, right? Like almost nothing. And then I go, were you guys at my other shows? And then like a bunch of the audience like, yeah. And I go, okay, because they told me this is going to be a new audience because the ship is so big. I go, but you motherfuckers keep showing up to see me. And then they all started laughing. So thankfully I opened them up with that because that is such an embarrassing feeling. I do a joke and it was a quick one. Luckily I didn't start with the big long thing, obviously. And gets like almost nothing. Just kind of eats shit, to be honest. And then so I made a joke about the situation. Everybody starts like laughing real big. And I'm like, all right. I go, and by the way, guys, I had burnt probably an hour and a half of material already because I did those 2 other PG shows and I mixed up what I did in those things. I did new stuff in each one. Those weren't the same. So I'd done a bunch of material already. So then I chose, I picked some stuff that I hadn't done yet and I did that and it was fine and it went really, really well. But it's just funny. Just the idea of, don't worry about it. It's going to be like all new people. And it's just not all new people at all. Okay. So that's it for the ships. I'm going to Calgary. If anybody is listening in Canada and Calgary area, I'll be at the Comedy Cave this week coming up. Not this week, next week. So January 15th through the 20th, I'll be at the Comedy Cave in Calgary. I've been there twice already. I really like the owner. It's a small club. It's a lot of fun, though. So Comedy Cave in Calgary, and then I have to stay an extra day and do a private show for the Jews because I did it once when I was in Calgary and because I'm Jewish, and then the lady wanted to hire me again. And so I have to stay an extra day, but whatever. I kind of want to get home, miss my kids, miss my wife. All right, so if you want to come out to Calgary, Comedy Cave, January 15th through 20th. I thought of this the other day. Remember when text messaging came out? And do you remember the jokes comedians would make? I think Joe Rogan had a bit where it was like, why are you texting me? Why are you writing me a message? Just call me. Like, why are people writing? Like, just call me. And that was like a big thing. A bunch of people were just like, why are you writing? Just call me. Just pick up the phone and call. Isn't it weird how quickly everything changes and we forget? Now it's weird if you call, right? Sometimes you'll call someone, they won't pick up and they'll text you back immediately. I just think that's so strange how society would just change so fast. Even I've talked about this for years, how the cell phone, if you guys remember when cell phones first came out, they were big, right? I remember like the big Zach Morris car phone type thing. And then it got smaller and smaller, and it was all about, look how small it is, right? And it was at the height of like that was probably, remember when the Zoolander came out, the big joke was he has this tiny little flip phone and he opens it and he's like, hello, right? And it's like the size of not even like his whole mouth. And that was the joke, how small they got. And then it became Like that was the whole pitch. Like they just kept making phones smaller, smaller. Like look how small it is. It fits here. It fits here. It's so tiny. Look how little it is. And then it became, it's hard to hit those little buttons, right? This phone's bigger. Look at this screen. It's a bigger screen. And then it's like just this curve where they go small, 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 and we're all just buying it. We're like, yeah, I need smaller. And then it's like too small. We need big, 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 big. And then now people have these cell phones. Some of them I've seen that are huge. It's like, is that a iPad or a cell phone? So I think it's so strange how just we function as people, how texting was such a weird thing to like a certain age range. And then it became, oh, you're calling? That's weird. Why are you calling me? Just text. I think texting is, I think we all agree, it's just more efficient, right? Sometimes you don't want to get into a whole phone call and do like oh, hey, what's going on? Hi, how are you? Okay, great. When sometimes you just need to get like, hey, there's the information you need. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? My wife wants to text me because she's in a rush and she could just text, hey, be blah, blah, blah at this time, at this place. I need you here, whatever. Like instead of just picking up, hey, how's your day going? Okay, great, blah, blah, blah. It's like sometimes you don't have time for that. So now there's voice notes and everything. So technology is just super weird. Speaking of which, I'll do this first and then I have a couple things and then we'll wrap up. I was home by myself yesterday and after the gym, I'm in the shower. And I like to listen to Mario Lanza, and a lot of Mario Lanza stuff is like opera, And I put my phone in the little little towel holder. I don't know, this little wooden thing that my wife has. I don't know what anything is called. It sounds so dumb. And so, because it amplifies the noise, right? So I'm in the shower and I'm listening, I'm like washing my hair, and I'm listening to this Mario Lanza singing this opera music. I'll put the song in maybe at the end of this podcast. If I can find it, if I can find the audio of it. And I have it on my phone. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Anyways, if I find a way that I know how to put it in the podcast, I'll put it in the podcast. So I'm listening to this just so you guys picture it. And then I'm thinking, I feel like I'm setting up the scene for someone to break in and murder me. Just felt like that. You know what I mean? I'm just in there. I'm at home alone listening to this opera music. Just seems like the time when someone comes in, stabs me to death. I don't know. That's kind of a weird thought, but I told my mom. She laughed. Maybe she just likes the idea of me being stabbed to death. Just kidding. She doesn't. Okay. So, all right. A couple things. I randomly started watching yesterday at the gym these Kung Fu videos, just of real Kung Fu, like masters or whatever. Guys, go on YouTube and type in real Shaolin Kung Fu guys or whatever. It's so weird that, I'm so interested in other people. I'm so interested in other societies and other groups of people and how everyone lives and how everyone thinks and stuff. These people really exist. I'm watching these, it's footage of just people. It's not from a movie. It's not some fake thing. It's not CGI'd. These guys are really out there. They're breaking bricks. And I'm saying like, okay, you can break bricks, but they're like breaking them like it was, like 4 bricks. And there's like some guys holding them. And then some guy just like slams his arm down and they break perfectly in half. They're standing there with their legs spread open. And another guy is just kicking them violently in the balls. And they're just taking it. Like they're just not moving and taking it. And then the guy goes on behind him, starts kicking him straight like in the asshole. And they're just standing there like, this is my thing. I get the whole mind over matter and all that stuff, and okay, you can absorb the pain. It doesn't hurt you anymore, and like you've trained and all. What do your dick and balls look like though? You know what I mean? Like, say I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, you can kick me straight in the groin, and I can take that. I am fine. I am a master of my own body or whatever. But there's still a physical structure to your penis and your balls, right? Like, what the hell does that look like down there? I want to see. Or you're just like at dinner later, just mashed up balls and dick. I just have no idea what's going on with that. These guys, there's like a video, they're all just standing on their heads. Just like, I'm talking like a ton of people too. So like, I was just watching this going, any one of those guys could just murder me in probably 5 seconds. You know what I mean? I took karate when I was younger. Those guys would absolutely obliterate me. What's some other stuff they're doing? They just have like these steel, like not steel, these big like concrete things, and they're doing like sit-ups, but they're rolling it all over their body. There's this one part of the video where they're talking about how they harden their skull. It's like the brain is the most important like part of your body because it's your mind. It controls everything, right? So the only protection for your brain is your skull. So this is how you. So they're hardening. It's like the guy's doing voiceover. So what they're doing is like hardening your skull. So it just shows guys being held by other guys, and they're slamming them into not a wall, but like some really like some hard bag or something. I don't know what it was, but they just kept slamming his head into it, and they go, if you do this for 2 hours a day, what was the other thing? It said it said hit yourself in the head with your palm for 2 hours a day to harden your skull, and then also they showed the guys swinging the guy's head into something, and they go, and then also do this for another 2 hours a day, and if you do this for a year, they believe that your skull is 4 times harder. It's like, what? 4 hours a day of just hitting yourself in the head? And then, like, yeah, I guess. What was the other shit that I just had it on the tip of my tongue that they were doing? It's so strange. I don't know. Maybe I'll put in the show notes some of these Kung Fu videos. There's another thing. All these guys are just lined up. Their feet, okay, there's like a stick. And I don't even know if it's pointy because there was another one where a guy just balancing on a triton. So it's like a metal triton, which so it means there's a point. It's on his stomach, and he's just floating, not floating, but like balancing on this thing. And then they talk about how you harden your stomach. I know the other thing I was thinking, and I'll get to the last thing. There's a show this guy just like punching a wall, like a brick wall, but there's pieces of paper that he's punching. It's probably like, I don't know, I'd say probably like 10 pieces of paper. And he's just violently just punching this wall, punching the paper. And they were like, the fists are used for fighting, but the fists are actually very fragile. So, and they can break and everything when you hit people or whatever. So you have to harden your fist. So they go, punching a wall, like punching paper on a wall for 2 hours a day will harden your fist. And I'm like, whoa, dude. So is that like 2 hours each fist? Because I saw the guy just throwing rights, just straight at the wall, like bam, 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 bam. And then they lifted up the paper, and there was a hole in the brick wall where like the size of his fist. It's like, geez, man, like that's what you're doing with your life. Isn't that crazy? You know what I did today? I woke up, like brewed some coffee in a Keurig machine for my wife and I, brought my kids downstairs, put them changed their diapers, put them in the car. Now I had some coffee myself after my wife and kids left, drank some water, drank some coffee, watched the end of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel because I fell asleep last night while my wife was watching it. And now I'm doing a podcast. There's people out there that are like 4 hours a day. I bang my head against something. Another 4 hours a day, punching walls with my fist to harden my fists. All right. So the last thing that, these guys did that were just blowing my mind. And I can't even remember all the things. It's like every single thing. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? Okay, so there's all these guys lined up in a wall, and there's like a stick, and the stick is looked like straight into like their belly button, but like whatever. And their feet are on the wall, and they are parallel to the ground. They're just perfectly parallel. Their head and their feet, everything is just like a straight line. It looks unbelievable. Like it looks fake. It looks like, how do you do that? So they're all doing it. That's the thing too. It's not like one guy. It'd be interesting if, you see like one person, you're like, oh, okay, this one psycho trained to do all this weird stuff because he, performs at halftime shows of hockey games and basketball games or something, right? This is just like hundreds of guys doing this. Where are they? Am I allowed to hang out with them? If I go to where they are, will they let me in? Can I kick it for a day? I think the answer is no. I think you gotta, that's like, you know what I mean? That's like Disneyland's Club 33. Like you can't just get in, you gotta know somebody. So anyways, these guys are blowing my mind. All right, last thing. Is this the last thing? Oh yeah. And then I'm going to talk at the end about just how I think everyone's become so stupid about, I just don't like politicians. I'll get to that in a second. But, so anyways, I don't like the way politicians and the media manipulate everyone to hate each other. But before I get to that, I watched this movie Hell or High Water, and it came out a couple years ago, 2016. Chris Pine, that guy is fucking gorgeous. Okay, I have no problem talking about when I see another guy who's good looking. I'm not like one of those guys like, oh, it's fucking gay, bro. It's gay, man. I don't care. guy's good looking, I'm like, that guy's fucking good looking. You know another one? Chris Helmsworth. What the fuck is going on there? That guy is gorgeous. So anyways, Chris Pine though, man, this guy's hair is dope. His face is like perfect. I mean, if there's any women listening, email me, hit me up on social media. My social media is my Instagram and Twitter. I always try and mention how bad I am at that. I try and put stuff up there, and I don't know how to get people to tag things. Like, people will be like, "Oh, this is so funny, I love it," but they don't tag anyone. So just my name, Jeff Keith, GEOFFKEITH at Twitter and at Instagram. So, anyways, Chris Pine, dude, that guy, he just kind of looks like a perfect man. I want to hear from some ladies or some gay men. What do you guys think of Chris Pine? I think this guy is gorgeous. Right? He just looks perfect. It looks like he has like a 7.5-inch penis, but it feels like 8. You know what I'm talking about? He fucks you for like 20 minutes and you're like, he leaves you wanting more, but like he also lasted a good amount of time. I don't know what I'm thinking about all these sex things, but I don't know. That guy's just a really good actor, really good looking, got great hair. I notice hair a lot more now because my hairline has just been creeping up and up. I'm not bald in the back at all. I don't even think it's thinning, to be honest, but my hairline has just gone from, I never had like a low hairline, but it's just, I'd say it's a solid at least 1/2 inch higher than it was. So now when I'm watching movies and stuff, I'm like, okay, that guy's got great hair. Look at that hair, this thick and, texturized. He's also a great actor. Some people, man, there's a lot of jealousy in this world. I have a theory that every single negative character trait stems from insecurity. Think about like what yourself, and think about what, if you're being honest, just in your own head, you don't have to say it out loud to anyone or admit it, I guess, but admit it to yourself, like your negative character traits. What is that rooted in? I think it's insecurity. I think it always comes back to insecurity. My point is, some people just, genetic lottery, right? Some people are, sometimes they say about actors like, oh, that guy's just good looking. It's like, there's a lot of really good looking people who can't act at all. And Chris Pine, I think, is a great actor. You know what I mean? Sometimes people are jealous of athletes. Oh, that guy just, if I was 6'8", it's like there's a lot of 6'8" guys who are not playing in the NBA. You know what I mean? It's a lot of hard work and natural ability goes with it. I always hated when people like to think that athletes are all dumb just because they're kind of jealous that they're not athletic. So they're like, oh, all athletes are stupid. Yeah, there's some dumb athletes, but there's also some like really smart ones. You know what I mean? So I just don't like the jealousy. But my point is, Chris Pine is perfect. Somebody prove me wrong. All right, so I'll probably do a man crush every so often because just a lot of savages out there. I would never want to be anyone else for a day or anything like that, but Chris Pine seems to be killing it in life. All right, so I don't like to talk about politics too much, but here's just like in general, just so everyone knows, I did not vote for president. Here's what blows my mind. And I don't care who people voted for. I've been all over the United States. I've met people. I've talked to people at other shows. I perform for all sorts of people. I do not judge people based on like, oh, you voted for Clinton, you're an idiot. Oh, you voted for Trump, you're a piece of shit. Like, that is such a weird way to think. And I think that the internet and social media and the media, all of it is just like polarized everybody, right? So we all know, if you don't, I'm sure you know, but if you go on YouTube, it's like I was just talking about how I was like, oh, I've been watching these Kung Fu videos. Guess what? I watched one Kung Fu video and now I'm just getting a shitload of things up on my YouTube homepage. Like, oh, do you want to watch this Shaolin Kung Fu video? Do you want to watch this one? So that's what goes on the internet, like on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, on all of it. What you look at, they feed you more of that. So people all get their news from, people like to say like, oh, Fox News is super biased. Fox News, their opinion hosts are all conservative. All their opinion hosts are conservative. Also, during the middle of the day, the boring shows, I used to watch those. Those are just hard news. Those are just like guys going, oh, yeah, like, this, Trump said this, and then the Democrats are saying this, and Nancy Pelosi said this, and blah, blah. Like, that's just hard news, but that's not what gets the ratings. On MSNBC, the highest rated show is Rachel Maddow's show. She's super left-wing. She's super biased. Like, she's Sean Hannity on the left, and Sean Hannity is, like, super biased and whatever. But it's like people just that doesn't mean like everything Rachel Maddow says is wrong. It doesn't mean everything Sean Hannity says is wrong. They both make points or whatever, and depending on your own opinions on stuff, you might agree with one more than the other. But my point is, it's all just like funneling you into one side, and then you just get deeper and deeper on that side. Like if you're watching YouTube videos of like, oh, look how dumb the Republicans are, you're going to get a ton of videos that are just mashed up of like, oh, here's this Republican saying something dumb, here's this another one lying. But guys, that exists on the other side too. If you're watching videos where it's like, oh, the Democrats are all corrupt, there's like a ton of shit like all that. So my point is, I did not vote for president. I think it's crazy. This is what blows my mind. I've been saying this for years now. I've been saying this since 2015 or whenever Trump first started running, and it was him and Clinton. Maybe that, I don't know, 2016, whatever. I've been saying this. They were buddies. Like Ivanka Trump and Chelsea Clinton are like besties, or like they were besties, right? And like, the Clintons came to Trump's wedding and stuff. And so I'm not saying like I don't like any of these people, right? So that doesn't mean every single thing Hillary Clinton says is wrong, and every single thing Bill Clinton says is wrong, and everything Trump says is wrong. But they say things that are true sometimes. They're just like, to me, they're just like corrupt, power hungry liars. But for some reason, so many people seem to be so in the camp of one or the other. It's like, guys, they were friends for like 30 years. You know what I mean? It's so weird to me that people don't realize that. And what was my main point? Oh, yeah. So the big thing right now, the government is shut down. And I mean, if anyone pays even half attention, all these politicians are just in it for themselves. They're all about their side and winning, and their side winning, and they'll do anything to make the other side look bad. When the government shut down, when President Obama was president, the Republicans were like, oh, this is Obama's shutdown. The Democrats are like, no, this is the Senate shut it down, right? And I think they blame Ted Cruz a lot for it. And now what? Now that Trump is president, the Republicans are like, this is the House, like that's their shutdown, right? Like, because they won't fund the wall and everything. And then the Democrats are like, no, this is the president's shutdown. So it's like, it's so obvious to me that whoever's side is in office, like they say it's not and whatever. But for some reason, people are like, no. And I know the circumstances are always different, but Obama, during his thing, they shut down the government because Obama wasn't getting what he wanted. Now Trump wants $5.7 billion for his wall, right? Here's my thing about the wall, all right? And for anyone listening, my wife is Mexican. My father-in-law came here when he was 5 years old, not legally, but he's a very productive citizen, works, all this stuff, pays taxes, great guy, great family, all this stuff, right? So the idea that there's a problem on the southern border with people coming from Central America and they're smuggling and drugs come in through like ports and everything too. But there's a lot of stuff happening with people crossing the border. And the Democrats, I'm a registered Democrat still, by the way. I don't consider myself either one, but I'm still a registered Democrat. So this is the thing, whenever you talk about anything, if you sound like you're in the middle, which I'm in, like, I don't know if I'm in the middle on certain things, I'm more on the right, certain things I'm more on the left, whatever. But like, I don't know if that's the middle. I don't know if you average them together or something. But my point is, like, I feel like it triggers everybody nowadays. If you say anything that's not totally in lockstep with what they think, oh, you're on the other side, man. You're on the right. Or like, oh, you're on the left. It's like, no, I'm just me. I have my own opinions. So there are videos of Chuck Schumer, who's the Senate Minority Leader right now, saying that now he's saying what, the wall's stupid, doesn't do anything, they don't need any more fence or all this stuff. There's videos of this guy in 2009 and like other years talking about how great like the new security, they built some fence and all this stuff and it's good on the border. And then now you see my Twitter, it's like a bunch of like actors and comedians being like, walls are dumb, they don't do anything. Here's my thing. I was saying this to my friend the other day. I listen to people that actually live in that world about something. Like if I need medical advice, I'll ask a doctor. If I need, like my brother is a film editor and stuff, he knows about film editing and all that. Oh my God, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Of course, my dog I'm just trying to wrap up this pod. So my point is, if I need to know something about something, I ask people who work in that industry or know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? I'll ask a doctor if I have a medical question. My brother, like I was saying, is a film editor. And when I'd have questions about, film editing stuff or camera stuff, I'd ask him, or I'd ask one of my other friends, my friend Adam, who does the same thing. So you go to people who know what they're talking about. If you guys had a question about like writing a joke, you'd ask me, right? If you knew me. So, or a comedian or something. I just don't see, like my buddy Ian, who I do my other podcast with, he works in the business world. He's a corporate guy and all this stuff, whatever. He's worked for all these different companies. I've asked Ian, like, hey man, how can I make my emails that I send out like look more professional? And he's like, show me what you send. And then he immediately made it better. He was like, dude, break it up like this, do this, write it like this. He showed me how to do it better. I had a situation where I accidentally copied a guy on an email that was not supposed to be on the email. It was just supposed to be to my agents. And it was pretty embarrassing because it wasn't that embarrassing because I obviously didn't write anything shitty in the email, but he just wasn't supposed to be on it. And I thought it was kind of unprofessional of me to send that email to him, but he didn't seem to care, it turned out. But anyways, the point is I was kind of freaking out for a couple minutes. So I hit up Ian. I was like, hey man, I just forwarded you this email. Like, I totally fucked up. I'm such an idiot. I go, how bad is this? Like, how do I handle this? Like, what's the court? Cause the guy I accidentally copied on thing was some corporate guy. And Ian gave my point is I go to him for advice about stuff I know he knows more about than me, right? So my point is when it comes to building more of a barrier on the southern border in the United States, because we already have some, by the way, I listen to the people who like work down there. You know what I mean? Like the people who, when people say, some people now everyone's so dramatic on both sides. Some people are like, the wall's going to fix everything. No, it's not. And other people are like, some people are like, well, we just need the wall and then everything's great. It's like, that's not true. And then other people are like, a wall does nothing. It's pointless. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense either. What wall is what wall is pointless? Like, we have walls in our house. We have walls everywhere. Like, I know the Republicans are bringing up like, oh, like these rich politicians have walls around their house and stuff. It's like, that's not a bad point. Like, just because you don't like Trump doesn't mean that that's a bad point. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. If it's really cold outside, if it's 10 degrees outside and you have a jacket, aren't you going to wear it? Like, you're still going to be cold when you go outside, but you're going to be less cold, right? So the point is, I've been listening to these guys that work on the border. I'm listening to people from they work for like Homeland Security and people that work on the southern border. And these guys they don't come off political to me. I've heard multiple people be like, yeah, like a wall would really help. Like if we had like more fencing down here or a wall or something, like it wouldn't solve the problem, but it would definitely like greatly help us do our job better and blah, blah, blah. And it would also deter people from coming. And a lot of these people coming from Central America through Mexico and people from Mexico and wherever they're coming from, they're like, they're risking like their kids' lives and stuff. It's like a dangerous thing. And the reason they're doing it because they think they have like a good chance of getting in. So, I mean, it's like on in every way, it would kind of like help. It seems like help, not solve, help. Like, so I just get so annoyed when people are like, oh, it would do nothing. And it's like, you're saying that just for political reasons because the same people said they were for it before. So it's just like little things like that. I can't stand how people just don't take a deep breath and go, forget who I voted for. Like, I can't do the Democrats and Republicans. The fact that there's two choices, and I'm not some political expert, and I know a lot of people go like, oh, why are there only two parties? There should be, whatever. And but then you hear other people argue against that, and their arguments make sense. But the point is like, it's like a gang. I don't care if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, but if you are like, oh, 100% of the time, whoever, like, if it's a Republican president, I'm Republican, whatever they say, I go for, no matter what. Or if you're a Democrat and like, if you're the Democratic president and you're like, whatever they say, I'm totally on board with. Like, that's just like a lack of thinking, right? Just think for yourself a little bit. I mean, I don't know. The whole idea of what's going on right now and people pretending, it just seems so political to me. People pretending they're against something that you're on tape saying you're for it before, and now you're saying it does absolutely nothing. It's like, I just don't think people are being honest. You know what I mean? Well, I know people aren't being honest, but Anyways, I just don't like how much it divides everybody. I feel like people are going to listen to this and some people will be like, fuck Jeff. It's like, fine. I don't care anymore. It's so dumb. Just like think for yourself. Don't join a gang. If you align more with the Democratic Party and you think that stuff's good, fine, vote that way or whatever. But like, don't take every single thing they say as like, oh yeah, that's how I think now too. Cause you're not thinking, you're just repeating what you hear. And the same goes for the other side. I just, I don't know. I don't see how that benefits society. And it's so weird because people nowadays, because of those algorithms and people get their news online and everything, people only read one side for the most part. Most people, obviously, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the only person that like hears both sides. I'm saying most people, it seems like most people that are online, at least, everything is so extreme, both ways, right? And it's because you're being fed this like, oh, you're going this way. Okay, we're going to push you more that way. Oh, you're going that way. We're going to push you more that way. And then you think everyone who doesn't see the stuff you see is nuts and vice versa on the other side. So anyways, I'm going to leave with, we'll play a little Mario Lanza that you guys can hear what I was listening to in the shower. That'll lighten it up, hopefully, if you're still listening and you haven't completely said, fuck Jeff. And then afterwards, I'm going to put in another motivational speech. So if you don't like Mario Lanza, you can fast forward through it. And if you don't like the motivational speech, you don't have to listen to it. But I'm telling you, these motivational speeches, I'm going to find a Denzel one. These are some good ones online. And this make you feel good. I feel like after you listen to them, you're like, I'm in a better mood than I was 8 minutes ago. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, it's just my name, GEOFFKEITH. Obviously, if you haven't listened to my other podcast with my buddy, the E&G podcast, check that out. Please rate this one 5 stars. And if you want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a comment. Unless it's a shitty one, then I don't care. Don't leave it, okay? All right, thank you so much. If you want to email me, it's in the show notes, thejeffkeithshow@gmail.com. All right, here's a little Mario Lanza, unless I can't find it, but I'm pretty sure I'll find it. And then a little Denzel motivational speech.
Una furtiva lacrima negli occhi suoi spuntò. Quelle festose giovani invidiar sembrò. Cercando io vo, che più cercando io vo, mama, sì mama, lo vedo. Solo istante i palpiti del suo bel cor sentir, i miei sospir confondere per poco a suoi sospir. I palpiti sentir, confondere i miei coi suoi sospir. Già Si può morir, ma si morir d'amor.
Fall forward. This is what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought. I'm in the wings, I'm about to go on stage, but the guy in front of me, he's singing like Pavarotti. He's just he's just going on and on and on. So I come out with my little sheet music, and it was Just My Imagination by the Temptations. That's what I came up with. So I hand it to the accompanist, and she looks at it and looks at me and looks out at the director and was like, but the next part of the audition, he called me back. The next part of the audition is the acting part of the audition. So I'm like, hey, okay, maybe I can't sing, but I know I can act. So they pair me with this guy, and again, I didn't know about musical theater. And musical theater is big, so they can reach everyone all the way in the back of the stadium. And I'm more from a realistic, naturalistic kind of acting where you actually talk to the person next to you. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed. And I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. And I didn't have to sing, by the way. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes?
Thanks for letting to my daddy.